Hi, everybody. My name is Dee Lisa, and I'm a dream doula.
Hello, everyone. I am Augustina, and I'm a I'm a Renaissance lady. Got a
Right
lot
on.
going on.
She does so many things, and she's got such a magical life going on. We just talked because at one point she's like, "I'll do a tarot reading in your art studio." Remember that? Like all the way back
That was
when
your idea. Thank you so much for thinking that was my idea. That was so your genius idea.
I was like, "Do you want to read cards in my art studio?" And you're like, "Oh, I guess so." And people signed up all night to get card readings from you. And for months afterwards, those people probably are still going there to talk to my sister Anita. But there was one couple that kept coming back and saying, "Where's the card reader? I need to tell her she was right. I got that job."
You know what
So,
I would love to say to that person now, because my technique has evolved, is that you can manifest anything. We gave him positive vibes
yeah.
and he manifested it, you know? I mean, that I think that would say that to any tarot readers. Try not to predict the future, please, because you can't.
Right. But
The
what would
misconception.
but tell them that they can create the future with their own thoughts
Right.
somehow while you're doing the card
Exactly.
reading.
Like he had it all in him. I think that was what the reading was saying. He had all the tools and he did get I mean, the energy was in play, but I do
Yeah.
think it's important not to predict the future. I will say that. But I'm so
Yeah.
glad it helped him.
It was so great because he just kept coming back. Do you tell her I got that job? Tell her it was awesome. You use the cards every day. Tell us more about that.
You know, Delisa, it's a gift. I've been a rambling world, I say WHIRLED traveler. I've lived in, I realize in the past 10 years I've lived in 9 cities, which seems kind of like a lot. But I have eventually, isn't that, I can't even say it. I have settled. So being settled, is a fascinating, wonderful thing. And it's given me this ability to have an actual daily routine. So I start the day with 3 card pull, just to see the energy of the landscape, around. And it's kind of become almost as regular as having my coffee.
Okay, so you pull three cards and then you look at them, think about them deeply because you already know what the cards are telling you by reading cards for so much. And then do you think, huh, I wonder how that's going to work today? Or it's just like looking at the weather.
That's so interesting. I mean, I think you will have days that it looks gangbusters beautiful, but you
Mm.
again with this universe, balance is key. So if you've noticed, you might have a time where you get really excited about something and you're in this zone of where your vibration is a little out of balance in a good way, but you're super revved, and then you'll find that something goes wrong to bring you back down to reality, or so if it's a really good reading, I try to stay, and if it's a really negative reading, I try to do free will things to change that energy.
Mm.
um, but I do think there's every single second we're manifesting, and I could do a reading at 5 p.m. and if I could change my vibration by 6, it could be totally different.
Oh, yeah. Well, let's talk about that because you have really gone into the way of living that some people aspire to, where you are just leaning into life and letting life carry you where you would love to go without worrying about it too much, from my point of view, without obsessing over what's wrong, without, what am I going to, what's my backup plan? What am I going to do about this or that in 5 years, 10 years? Am I saving enough for retirement? You're not in that kind of logical mind living, but from my point of view, you're living a beautiful, exciting, expansive, creative life, and you're living where you want to live in New York City.
Bless your heart, Delisa. Thank you
A
so much. I mean, I worked with you for how many years? I want to give
couple
so much
years
of
now.
this too, because people should work with you. Because I did
Mm,
so much spiritual work on my own. But sometimes you just need a really good teacher to wrench you out of your negative self talk, which is the human condition. It's
Do you
normal.
think that was the big change for you then? Is
Um,
clicking out of the negative self-talk?
well, at 28, I realized this was a while ago, but I realized you can't care what anyone thinks about you because you'll always be miserable. So it wasn't really that
Yeah.
one. I think what it was is I had a pivotal, this is what you'll hear a lot of people say. I think I had a very pivotal experience that in fact involved a great deal of suffering. For now, I'm very grateful, but that experience of suffering broke me down enough as a person to where I all I could do was create my dream. Because
Mm.
my dream that someone else had created for me wasn't working. I don't know if people, it's a kind of like the name thing, living the wrong name or living someone else's dream. I think if people do that long enough, they break. Maybe it will be in the next lifetime, but um,
Well, maybe I know people who live that way. They're sad and upset and they're doing the thing that they don't love to do. And what happens is eventually they get sick and die because it's not a way to thrive and be alive if you're just stuffing yourself into someone else's reality or forcing yourself to go to a job that you despise. It 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 eats you up.
it really impacts your soul when you do things you
Yeah.
don't want to do. Um,
Yeah.
Again, I love my experience of reality, but it it was last year and it was kind of just an accumulation of other people's ideas of who I should be, and I had allowed that. And I
Sure.
think that's what really catapulted it was there's nowhere to go but up, baby. So you better make it great.
So you're like, okay, this is as bad as it's going to get for me. Everything's better than this.
But faith and that blind, it's a blind faith that I wish I could just bottle up and give people because that it's almost like you just start to manifest and then it comes true enough times and you develop faith. But it's that I think it's that initial moment where you realize we are in a hologram and that the world is begging to be what you want. That is that. If you could get into that, that's a tough once you're in that little car, it expands, but you got to get into that car where you really realize life is supposed to be fun.
Life is supposed to be fun, and life is like a dream, like the very spiritual song, "Row, row, row your boat." Life is but a dream. Merrily, 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 merrily. What I messed up the song, but you're drifting down. You're not paddling against the course of the stream. You're not going over a waterfall, although some people might think there's a fall at the end or there's rapids or there's something. But if you're going with the flow of life and realizing that life is a hologram, life is like a lucid dream that we're in, and we get to change it. We get to change it with our thoughts and our feelings and the actions we take. So it's not just you changing your thoughts and saying, this is my reality. You actually had to take steps to actually move somewhere and do something, right?
Of course, right. And that is, yes, it's not, so you have to ask for signs that will direct you forward. I mean, yeah, you're not sitting around and someone's not appearing at your door and shepherding you off. You do. I mean, and that I guess I am I'm very action oriented, so I guess I'm lucky in that way.
Hmm.
That, but I think the really tough part is probably the tough and wonderful part is really having that faith. I don't know what else to, but it's the universe might not manifest it for you on your timetable.
Oh, yeah, that's the
Or,
other thing to think about.
yeah,
It's like a lot of people will say, this is how you manifest. You say, I want exactly this thing by exactly this time.
that's when the universe will send you a very
It's
funny
like,
little
ha
present.
ha, you thought you wanted what? Um, Although you can just tweak that a little bit and say, I would like this or something better.
And the big, I'd love to talk to you about this too, Lisa, because the really big wild thing is I did manifest New York very easily because I have zero blocks against this place. I think it's all the traveling. I finally found a place. So I manifest this place very quickly because I have no blocks. But Um, People who are looking for, say, you know, you shouldn't probably say that you have to live anywhere specific. You just should say that you have to live somewhere where you feel this way.
Yes.
That's the really, or my partner just has to be this kind of way. Keeping it broad can be really cool, right?
True. I once said when before I was married, I want to marry somebody tall, dark, and handsome. And this woman who was reading my tarot cards at the time, she goes, "Oh, you're probably going to find a short guy with light hair." Wait, you wait and see, honey.
Did you
My
find, by
husband,
the way?
my husband was not tall. He did have brown hair, but he was like 2 inches taller than me. So
Well,
tall, dark, and handsome was not in the cards for me.
well, you say, what is my right? This has really transformed things for me lately, and I've had some wild. It's just, you just say, bring me my right income, bring me my right lover, bring me my right home.
Hmm.
Infinite spirit. That's where things get wacky because you think
Because
you
what we
know.
think we might have as our right work or our right home, might look very different if we're not just thinking it up in our narrow human mind.
Right. And again, they're all connected. So it's like, okay, my right income is going to somehow give me my right home too. So
Yes.
my big dream is to live at the Dakota apartments over there on 72nd. Everyone knows. But I have been really communicating more with spirit lately about, is that quite the right spot right now? I mean, this $50,000 a month of, I mean, it's a little wonderfully extreme, and I think aim high. But I did wind up in a home nearby that's much more probably fitting, let's face it. So, yeah, asking for the right thing and giving up any control or idea of what that is, that's a whole other level too, you know.
So how did that work for you? Let's give us a solid example so people can follow along with your manifestation reality. Let's say like where you were, what you wanted to manifest, and then what happened up until now.
Okay, about just the I which
Just
part am I?
anything you want to talk about. It could be income, it could be where you live, it could be relationships or anything. Anything.
I think the really, really amazing part is knowing that the universe is just begging to know what you want.
The
When you
universe wants to know what you want. Otherwise, it's kind of like calling a pizza company and saying, "Send me a good pizza."
well, what do you want on it is probably helpful.
But I want it
Uh,
to be good. Yeah, send me something good.
Give me the ideal pizza that I will love. That would be fine because there is a sense that there is this higher consciousness, obviously,
Hmm.
that created you and your thoughts and the earth. So asking for something is a very interesting notion because it's like, is it me asking? Who even wants this? That's where you start to get pretty wacky, where it's like,
I know who wants this and who's creating it. And wait, it's if it's all the same thing, then what is coming from itself?
but the thing is those desires and those lacks and those fissures in your life where things aren't going well, you should work on those.
Yeah.
I think one thing I will say is that I've met a lot of people on this earth and they manifest the same negativity again and again. We all know those people and it accumulates. It all lives in the reaction. So if you say it's going to be a bad day, it sure will be. If you spill your coffee on yourself and you swear and curse versus saying, I just, I'm going to wash this and then I'm going to probably wear something else because that's a better idea anyway. This is a little off topic, but if you're in a space of neutral, manifesting is going to happen a lot quicker too.
Yeah, I think a lot of people manifest uh, negative things.
Oh,
And
constant.
that's not to say every negative thing that happens to you in life you have manifested. But you know someone who says things like, I can't stand it over and over again, and then they break their foot.
Hmm. Oh,
Um, or this fill in the blank always happens to me. And then,
yep,
oh, what a surprise, it happens again.
yep. The universe has no sense of humor. Zero.
Yeah. Yeah, but as a human, if things that are not to your liking are happening, you can at least know from that what you would like, because it's not that thing.
Right. everyone who you look at and you say, oh my gosh, I just don't want to be like them. That is a gift. They
Yeah.
are your teachers. So, such great teachers. But yeah,
Hmm.
I think starting in a space, I've learned a lot from so many people, but starting in a space of neutral, where when the manifestation occurs, yes, we all can get excited, but that's really when the manifestation occurs, you should act like it's commonplace. I mean, that's the really,
Yeah, that's one of the hardest things to do, isn't it? Instead of going, woohoo, this is so exciting. It's like, yeah, I just manifested this. This is normal.
right, because you're
What's
just getting
next?
into the vibration of what the thing is. That's the rule of Earth. Like, right, if we went to Venus, there'd be a different rule. And if we, it's like the rule of Earth is that we manifest instantaneously because we have free will and we're this incredible creatures. And once we know that, we just decide what we want, but then we can't forget what we want. That's the
Mm,
issue. So reminding yourself throughout the day, I have this little thing on my phone that goes off 3 times a day, and I just say my affirmation out loud to remind myself because there is a world out there full of energy, and I'm finally accepting sometimes not pleasant ones, and they
yeah.
can interfere with your dream because sometimes really strong, high vibrational people are not attractive. Let's face it, to a lot of people, they're weird. They're too open. I get that a lot. You're just so open. I'm like, isn't that cool? I mean, don't you want to be around
I
an
was,
open?
I love that you said just too weird for other people because I used to just invite my favorite friends over for like dinner or a party. And I would often think, what a weird collection of people. I wonder if they'll have anything to talk about with one another, but they're like all of my brainiac, interesting, manifesting, creative, artistic friends. And maybe one of them's a computer geek and one of them's a musician and one of them's something else. And they're like, usually it works out because I'm in the mix and they all know me, but sometimes it might just be the awkward conversation in the corner that might be happening. Okay, so back to a specific. Take us through a specific, you didn't want it, you decided to change your mind, and now where are you?
Well, so if we think about again, we're on Earth with these rules. So you have to signal your belief, it's a game, so if you put energy into certain things, you'll just get more of that. So one of the
Hmm.
really, I remember I talked to you during this, I knew I needed to move. I didn't have a new place, but I figured, well, I can't renew my lease at least. Like even if I, again, this will sound crazy to a lot of people, but fearlessness is a cool thing. Blind surrender to a greater power is courageous, but it will work for you. But I just said, well, I'm not going to take the new place. I mean, what kind of signal would that be? Because plan Bs are terrible in this universe. Because then
Yeah.
that just, it's like if you send in your order for fettuccine and then you just go, oh, no, no, I want linguine. It's like, oh, shoot. Well, it's going to take a lot longer. And then you might not even get the linguine because then you're going to change the mind again. So you need to stick with that and do it throughout the day. And then basically, when it occurs, act like it's commonplace, but you have to be able to just accept that it might take a while. I think that's what separates the wheat from the chaff. So you keep taking actions in favor of it. That's when you go out and buy your friends a nice meal when you don't have a lot of money. That's one of the biggest acts of faith you can do. And every time I've done that, without fail, I get what I need.
Yeah, it's like the idea that you're sharing what you have because you know there's more coming.
And then you invite yourself into the flow. So the miser energy ain't going to get you more money. I mean, it might, but it sure won't. You have to get into the flow of abundance, right? So even if you don't think you have much, just giving some is at least going to start something. Something
Yeah.
will come back.
Yeah. Oh, that's so beautiful. So to remind us that while you're manifesting, as things are happening, to just act like that's just normal
And of
and
course, you've gotten
move
those
along.
calls from me where I go, Delisa, oh my God, this just happened. This thing. And
Yes.
and you can tell somebody, but make sure you tell the right person because sometimes people aren't that thrilled when other people's lives are going great. Let's just face it, if theirs aren't, they don't want to hear your dream. So the worst thing you can do is call that person and go, oh,
And then be like, yeah, that's not gonna last, is it,
Yeah.
Augustina?
And then
Yeah,
they
because other
manage,
people can really bring you down when
and then
you're in
they
the
can
middle.
manifest on your behalf if they're
Hmm.
strong enough, powerful enough souls, then they can get in there. So you want to be careful with your dream, I think protect it. And then when it comes true, yes, of course it did.
That's a very esoteric and profound lesson in manifesting is that, of course, it did.
I just learned that
Because
this
you
year.
get what you expect. And have you also heard this? You don't get what you want, you get who you are.
Mm. Oh gosh. I just have to read. But yeah, you cannot manifest anything that you aren't already. Is um there's supposed to be, yeah, we don't attract what we want, we attract who we are. Yeah, that's
It's
something.
and so who are you? I guess that would be the mic drop moment for the end of this podcast is who are you being today?
So I would say to everyone, go, you know, I live in an abundant way, in a very unique way, but a lot of this started with just walking down Madison Avenue and getting into the feeling of abundance. I know that
Mm,
sounds really wild, but just my bank account isn't quite there, but I'm living here. You know what I'm saying? It's like, so just go to the place where you want to be somehow, even if it's just on a Sunday and you walk around, just get into the frequency. If you want love, just go hang out with a dog and love it. Like
yeah.
it's just getting into the frequency, and then the universe is, I don't know, it's not, it's kind of mathematical or science. Yeah, it's just go to the
Well, and then
place.
the concept of baby steps. I saw something beautiful written about that the other day. I was like, have you ever watched a baby take steps? They're not delicate. They're not tiny little steps. They're lurching around and falling over. So think of when you're making baby steps toward your goal. Maybe it's a lurch. Maybe you tip over a little bit. Maybe you're unsteady on your feet, but you're going toward that thing that you really want.
100,000%. I tell people
Yeah.
so often I'm clumsily accepting my worth at this point. So as I try to share with you who I am, accept, I am clumsy and that's okay. That's
Oh,
just
it's
have
so
to do it.
beautiful. It's so beautiful. Okay, let's let people know. Oh, do you still do tarot readings for people if they wanted to hire you? Would you do that?
Oh, I love it. It's such a gift. It's a fun time. Yeah.
Okay. So I'll let people know in the show notes how to find you and how to book a reading because, by the way, this girl's magical. Magic. Magic.
Thank
Thank
you
you,
so much,
Augustina. It's so
Lisa.
beautiful to chat with you, and I'm so happy for you living your best life in New York City. You go, girl.
Thank you so much, Lisa. You are the queen. Nothing
I
without you.
appreciate you. Bye for now.